My name is Jakub, I'm 25. I'm from Czech Republic and I spent last 10 months in New Zealand, working, traveling around, do some sports events. I'm quite communicative, so I made many friends all around New Zealand, and I found Kiwi mentality different. A way different opposite Europe. The society is simply relaxed, definitely more relaxed than in any country in Europe I visited. But in the meantime, it's New Zealand's successful rich country. So I was asking myself, how is it possible? I found few facts about New Zealand, created a simple list of questions and started to talk with people I met. Well, now we can find out together something about the people of New Zealand.
And they went to Vietnam and came back over here to New Zealand when I was about 3 years old, and we've been here since. I was brought up on the North Shore, Auckland, and travelled right round New Zealand later on. Yeah. Beautiful country.
Isn't it?
It is a beautiful country. Yes. My childhood was horrible.
Really?
Yes, it was horrible. Yes, I had a horrible daddy, and I took off when I was 15. I don't know about other Kiwis, but there was a lot of things that happened to us girls with our daddies that wasn't supposed to happen. So we took off. Yeah, and we're not very nice men.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I think it made you stronger.
Yes.
That's what I can feel from
Yes, it did. It did. So I became closer to Almighty, the Father, Almighty Lord, God. So I lost a daddy, but I gained a father. Yeah, and he's made me the strongest thing that I've become today.
So you're a Christian?
Well, I don't think of myself as a Christian. Under the sky is my church. You know, because I've been to churches and I couldn't find one that had the same principles as me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your principles if you can.
Well, stealing, no. If it's not yours, don't touch it. Yeah. Lying gets you into trouble. It only makes you cover up another lie, and before you know it, you've forgotten what the first lie was. So that doesn't work. Yeah, if it doesn't work one way, try it the total opposite. Yeah. Let me see, about 15 I took off and travelled right round New Zealand.
Alone?
Yes.
Alone in 15?
Yes.
How?
Well, I had Almighty.
Uh-huh.
I had Almighty. My mother's grandmother, did something very naughty when she was young. She was a thief. And when what she stole was tapu, greenstones, greenstones from different marae. And then my mother fell very ill, and when she was deluded one time, she told me that the greenstones were under a floorboard in the wardrobe of the old homestead. And Mum, doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with Mum. And Mum was going down, down, down. She wasn't able to move out of her bed. So it was up to me to go find the greenstones and to put them back where they came from. But where they came from was in rivers throughout New Zealand. Yeah, so it was easier for me to take off at 15 and go and do that, and then come back at 17. So when I came back at 17, Mum was much better. She had picked up. Yeah, tapu is a curse. Another Maori name for curse. Yeah, because greenstones are very sacred to our maraes, and where Great Nana stole them was in maraes over card games. Naughty woman. She was a naughty woman. So that was lifted and it was good. But it gave me confidence to go around and be okay about speaking the truth and not being shy or negative about not being confident.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a hostel manager. So, yeah, I manage the place now. We own and manage this hostel. It's a partnership with my husband, but he works in another job. So it is mainly my job managing.
So you care about this? But
we opened this hostel in 1991. I trained as a nurse. Yeah, I was a nurse before we came here. Yeah. So when the children were little, it was a good job because the children I could be at home with them. We lived
Wasn't
here.
you worried about the children because so many strangers around?
No, is there something? Strangers does not mean danger to me.
Okay.
No. Because we very quickly you become very astute with people. You understand people pretty quickly, whether or not they are suitable to live with other people.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes they're not suitable, but we are separate. So our children were always separate. We didn't share anything with the backpackers. We only share one door. So they didn't come out here very often. We would have barbecues and things and they would come with us, but they didn't spend a lot of time with people. I think our children, maybe being a little bit shy, they weren't really, like some kids are real up front. They weren't like that. So also, yeah, they didn't interact a lot from choice, but also because it's quite an intrusive business, and because because you are always getting interrupted, I think maybe they resented it a little bit, and so therefore they built up a sort of them and us, and they didn't mix a lot with people. When they got a little bit older, they appreciated it more. And our son looked after the hostel when he was at university. He used to come home and look after it, and he appreciates it a lot more now. Yeah. Everybody wants to be in a job they like, don't they? Yeah. It's a good business. We own our business. It's a profitable business. So I don't know why I wouldn't do it for as long as possible, really. If you enjoy it and it gives you a good living to do things and live the way that you like to live, then we don't expect to change it for a while. We might take a break, but yeah, it's good.
Do you mean like what situations would I need to be in to be happy? I'm very happy right now. I'm probably at the happiest point in my life I've ever been. One, because I have a woman who loves me and I love her. We're going to be married next year. Yeah.
The woman I met last time?
Yeah, Erin.
When did you meet her?
I met her here. I was in that room. I was upside down on a Swiss ball doing crunches, and I saw her from that angle, and I knew from that moment that she was the one. I never believed in true love or love at first sight till then, but I saw her and I knew immediately I had to ask that girl out.
When it was?
This was in 2007. Yep. And it took me about a month to figure out the best way to ask her out. But it was a pretty good first date. We went for a run up in the mountains, up in the Kaweka Ranges. So running through the snow and the mountains for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. Then we sat by a mountain stream and had a talk. Then we went to Havelock. Then we drove to Havelock North, had a nice coffee. Then we went out to Waimarama Beach and I had a swim. Then we went up to Mata Peak and we watched the sunset.
All in one day?
Yeah. Then we went to some gardens in Napier where they have a big waterfall, and we had our first kiss underneath the waterfall. And then we went out for Mongolian food and ate takeaway Mongolian food on the beach. So it was a pretty good first date. So it was pretty hard to beat it on the second date. I'm also very happy because I feel like my business is progressing the way that I want it to, and I think I understand how to get it to where I want it to go, which is nice. I'm moving towards my targets and I know how to get to the next level. I'm very happy because I think I do a good, honest job. And I'm very happy that I found a sport that I find that I'm passionate about and gives me true happiness and a sense of calm and well-being with the world. The surfing. It's the missing ingredient that I didn't know was gone. I always knew my whole life that I'd liked the idea of surfing and always thought it was cool but never learnt it. And for the moment I got on the board on my first wave on Christmas Eve 2 years ago. At
2 years ago?
2 years ago at 3 in the afternoon.
So you didn't surf before that?
No. That was my first time. I left here at 2 in the afternoon, went to the surf shop, bought a board, and started surfing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or falling off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My first day I stood up on the board 3 times, but I never stayed there.
Was it longboard?
No, it was halfway between a longboard and a shortboard. It was a 6'8" fish, 6'8" superfish.
Wow.
Fairly thick, but not a longboard.
Yeah.
It's not as unstable as a shortboard. The board I was on the other day is much harder to ride, but I couldn't have got to that if I hadn't got a bigger board. I started with a big-ish one and then got smaller and then smaller again. Yeah, so that's when I started. And I realized then that on that very first time, this was the thing that was missing. I didn't realize what was missing until I found it. That was it. Peace.
And what your girl thinks about surfing?
She's happy that that I have something that keeps me happy and keeps me busy. But she would like to spend more time with me. I saw a t-shirt once in the surf shop which I really liked. It says, "My girlfriend says that if I keep surfing she's going to leave me. ... Gosh, I'll miss her." I have 2 mistresses. I can't not surf. I have to. It aches inside when I can't. I know it sounds stupid, but something inside me hurts when I don't go to the beach.
I can understand.
But something inside me hurts when I'm not with her. So I'm torn between the two. So I have to be with Erin and I have to be with the beach. It would be very easy for me if she was a surfer, but she's afraid of the ocean.
Easy go.
Just repeat what I said.
Yeah, but they are, pretty much. I think New Zealanders are friendly people. Like and you only notice that when you come back from overseas. Like spend a long time in Germany, you come back and I'm walking down the main street in Auckland and somebody talks to me and we have a really nice conversation.
Like a strange me?
Yeah, a stranger. And I'm like, oh my god, the whole time I was in Germany I never had a nice conversation like that with anyone. This is weird, like this, and I'm in the middle of the city, it's supposed to be the most impersonal place. And yet you can still meet people. So I think New Zealanders are not afraid to talk to strangers and to be friendly to strangers and to give help where necessary. They love it. Like if they can help you, they will. Especially tourists, I think they enjoy that. Yeah, and I don't know. I think New Zealanders are a bit scared of change, but I mean most people are. Like a bit ignorant, but I think that comes with being so far from the world. So if you don't travel, you don't know anything. You just see what you see on the television and you make your own judgments from that. Like I think my dad is a perfect example. Sorry, Dad.
You can talk with him too.
Because he hasn't travelled really at all, just Australia and Fiji, and he makes a lot of judgments about the world, and he and you're like, excuse me, Dad, no offense, but you don't, for example, my sister's going to London this year to live for 2 years. This is the OE, have you heard OE? Overseas experience. Every New Zealander does OE, 1 year, 2 year, whatever. So she's never been away. And my dad's giving her all this advice, about what to take, what people in England are like, what people in Europe are like, all this stuff. I'm like, excuse me, and then excuse me, Dad, how do you know this stuff? And he's like, no, I just know it, And he gets, he thinks he knows everything. It's like, oh, what the hell? It's really strange.
Yeah, that's something like my dad.
Really?
He knows everything. He's always right.
Maybe that's just a male thing, not in New Zealand.
How do you look at the coexistence Maori culture with colonists?
I had to read that when I didn't understand it. Out of which number?
How do you look at the coexistence?
Nah, there is none. No coexistence. No, there is none. They're not happy.
There must be some
One's
coexist-
giving and
What?
one's taking. So how can there be coexistence?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, one's giving,
Opinion.
one's taking.
Uh-huh.
So that's not coexisting,
So
is it?
Maori people just take now.
That's generalising. Yeah.
Mhm.
They are.
And why do you think it's like that right now? Because it
because
wasn't like
we're
that.
too
in the-
soft.
Ah.
See, that's a good answer for that. That's a good answer. For that. We're too soft. We are. The whole West is too soft.
But
When they go to war, the first people they should bomb is the news media,
Mhm.
because then you wouldn't get people sitting in front of their TV watching these. You know, they should, because then they could have won Vietnam by dropping one nuclear bomb. Boom! It would have been all over. We wouldn't even be worried about it now.
Mhm.
But they didn't because of the media. We're too soft. Next question.
Transparency International. Is New Zealand the country with the lowest corruption in the world? And not just for last year, it's for last 5 years maybe.
Lowest corruption, as in by government or by
Just
Police or government.
police or
Everywhere.
government? I could believe that. I don't think they're clever enough
do-
to be corrupt.
I don't know, actually. I suspect there's a lot of
Cheers.
corruption that doesn't get found.
But
Okay.
I don't know.
I-
You can go about your business here. You don't have to pay
Mhm.
backsheesh or anything. You know,
Mhm.
it's on the face of it, it's really not a corrupt country.
Mhm.
Dig deeper, I suspect there's plenty of corruption, but
But
depends
it's
where
so
you define.
mild.
Depends how you define
Yeah.
corruption.
I mean, the mildest corruption that they found recently is someone allowing a person with a dual sort of passport with different names. They've got a politician.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's political scandals like
Yeah.
anywhere else, and there's a few policemen on the take. You know,
Mhm.
That's
there was
not
a
corrupt.
policeman just prosecuted for stealing things in the Christchurch earthquake zone. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it happens. You know, I've been in places where off-duty policemen are laughing about who they've arrested without any real cause. You know, it does happen, but
It's not.
but my experience of being here is one that I can go about my business without having to deal with corruption on a daily basis, for sure.
Yeah. Is
But
it
there's-
different than in other places you live?
Yeah, I mean, you try living in Mexico City or
Even Australia.
or even Australia. Yeah, I mean,
Australia's.
you know, I remember sitting with a friend in a bar in Australia in Sydney once. This would have been about 1983 maybe, and it was his opening night. I was sitting at a table with him in his new bar, you know, and a uniformed policeman came in the door and sort of nodded at him, and he got up and he went over to the bar, pulled out a wad of cash and gave it to them, and came back and sat down. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, it's money so they don't shut me down." And I said, bribery. And he said, "Yeah, have to do it." And I went, "Wow, you'd think they could come around the back door in plain clothes. But this is done absolutely in the open in front of all the clientele, you know." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I guess Sydney, you know, you felt was quite corrupt like that. But I mean, I've no doubt there's a certain amount that goes on here too, but it's probably not as much. I wouldn't know on the stats. I've read that it's a really uncorrupt country by comparison.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I can truly say in Australia. I lived in Australia for a little while, not for long, and it's just a feeling that you have that the cops are on the make the whole time. Yeah.
But what is corruption? I mean, in my business, if you want to make a documentary, for instance, you write a proposal, you go to the network, and there's only 2 networks really, and you ask them if they'd be interested in helping pay for it, and then you go to the funding body, New Zealand On Air, and if you've got a broadcaster on board, they might fund you. There's only a couple of networks. What do you call it corrupt when a commissioner at one of the networks is giving disproportionate amount of programs to make to their husband or their wife? Because you see that all the time here.
Mhm.
Is that corrupt?
Hard to say.
I'm not sure. In a small country there aren't that many great filmmakers,
No.
so maybe that's the only way you can make them. It feels corrupt if you don't get the money for your program and you see the commissioner's partner get it. Is it corruption? It wouldn't be measured as corruption in those stats. But in a small country there's a lot of, what's the word, not paternalism, but
Favours granted.
favours granted, shall we say, yeah. And are they corrupt? I don't know. They're not strictly against the law, so they don't get registered as corruption. But we all live with it because it's a small country.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it corrupt? I think it probably is, but it's...
So minor. It's not like we've got armies,
We all kind of
corrupt
accept it.
armies or corrupt... I mean, politicians slightly, you know, but nothing...
From another perspective, you would say it's corrupt,
Yeah.
because then you have, you probably haven't read about it much, but there was a case of prosecutions being brought by the police and raids in the Oroweras a few years ago against the Tuhoi tribe, where Tamaeti and some of his acquaintances, friends, were, for whatever reason, practicing with guns and Molotov cocktails in the bush, and they were prosecuted, but they did these raids in the whole community. Finally, it's come down under the newly passed Anti-Terrorism Act. They ended up prosecuted for a couple of firearms charges, and guess what? It came down to only 4 people being charged. The 2 that are going to jail are Maori, the 2 that aren't are Pakeha. And you wonder, you kind of go, what's that about?
Yeah.
Is that corruption? The way the police behaved, you certainly say it was corrupt. Is it corruption that Kim.com has had all his files sent to the FBI without the proper process being given? Is it corrupt they took away all his property without any charges really being substantiated against him and preparing extradition? Is that corruption? Is that the government saying yes to the Americans, we'll make New Zealand the unofficial 53rd state? Is it corrupt the way that they dropped whole immigration law just so that they could quash certain guilds and unions in New Zealand and make sure that the the Hobbit movies would be filmed here, and that the immigration law was actually changed after a deal had been done to make it happen? And so you think, well, hang on, you said it was so that the thing could happen, but the deal's already been done. So what were you doing there? You were actually changing immigration law to suit your political party motivation. I would call that corruption. But it's all legal, so it won't show up in the stats.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a rave.
When we
Sorry.
talk about corruption, we can talk about New Zealand government. What do you think about them? Do you vote?
I do, but the person I vote for never gets in.
It doesn't matter, you know.
Because there's the National and the Labour Party, and it's always one of them, and I always vote for the New Zealand Party or someone different, you know. But it's really those National and Labour, and they're all as bad as each other. You know, they say they're going to do this and they're going to do that and they're going to do this, and then everybody votes for this one because they think this wonderful stuff's going to happen, and it's they
So
get
it's
had
the
every
same,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be the same like in every country.
Like sometimes it's really good, like National want to, because there's many people in New Zealand that are on some benefit from the government, like solo mums that don't have a partner, or they get money from the government, or if you're not working you can go on the dole and get money from the government. But the National Party at the moment, they want to make it so that, because some single mothers, they have more and more and more and more babies, because every time you have a baby you have another $50 a week, or however much, I don't know.
That's like in Czech Republic.
So they keep having more and more babies. So the government's now said, okay, if you've got 3 babies, you're on a benefit, that's it. If you have any more babies after that, you're not going to get any more money.
That's good.
They're doing this to try and stop it, you know, but I don't know if they will, because people are always going to have sex, so there's always going to be babies, isn't there? It's got nothing to do with money at all. In the heat of the night, who's thinking about money?
Check back to your life, to your short life. Would you do anything different way? Making a big change?
I don't know. It's hard to say because some of the mistakes I've made, like most of the mistakes I've made are really silly, like not a big deal, because my life's been quite short compared to other people's. But I don't know. No, I think I would definitely work harder, because I'm getting, this sounds silly because I don't really have anything that I can change, but I'm getting to the stage where this is the most important year of my studies, and I haven't set up good work habits in the past, and I don't know how to study, I don't know how to do these things, I'm just really lazy, and this year I'm already really struggling with making up for the work I didn't do in the past, like sitting in class, talking, drawing pictures, not doing work, and now it's really caught up on me, and I really need to get some good habits and motivation, and I would change that because I haven't worked hard in my life.
That's good because you still have the time to change it.
It's just hard going about it because you've got such bad habits, and it's hard to get out of those habits. Like you dig yourself a hole.
If I could turn back time. If I could. No, I'll just stop singing now.
Sing it.
It's a good song, right?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I mean, I did definitely regret not going to France last year. Definitely regretted that, but I mean, because you can't change the past, there's no point. Like, you just have to see the positives of what came out of everything. Like, you make a decision, maybe it wasn't the best. Maybe if you had a different life, you would go back and change it a little bit, but because you can't do that, there's no point in pretending like you can. You may as well just see the positives of what happened and learn, so that next time you don't make the same mistake. I think is important. Yeah, but sometimes you just make the same mistake like 3 times, and then you learn, and then you learn the hard way, and you're like, okay, now I learnt my lesson. Takes 3 times. But yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything. I don't think. It's all good. Life's good. I'm happy.
What more do you expect from your life?
What do I expect?
Tell me any plans for your future.
I don't make huge plans for my future at the moment. I just know I want to teach. I think I'm happy now. I know, like, I think if I'm teaching wherever in the world, you know, especially if I'm teaching languages, I think I'd be really happy. I really enjoy that. So, I have to be working with people, and I have to, like, have the opportunity to travel. Do you know what I mean? Like, not be, like, locked into a job where I can't travel even a little bit.
Well, you have holidays.
Exactly. This is why I like being teacher already. It's like 4 weeks holiday. Yeah. At the moment, I just want to enjoy every day and travel as much as I can, teach and learn as much as I can, learn new languages. I still want to learn more. Meet nice people like yourself. Yeah, but I don't have like plans about, you know, I have to get married, have kids, or have to buy a house or something like that. I just wait. Whatever happens, happens. Just let it be, you know. There's no point in planning, when I'm 28 I do this, when I'm 29 I do this, you know, because that sets you up for disappointment. Definitely. I was talking to like a 30-year-old woman the other day. I know her quite well actually, but she was saying to me, she has a boyfriend, she's been going out for like 2 years, and she's like, I'm so sad, like I thought that by the time I'm 30 I would be married and have children. And I'm just like, really? Like, does that make you sad? Like, it's strange because she actually has already been married, but she just didn't have children. So I was just joking to her, I was like, you've already been married, don't worry. She got really pissed off. Yeah, she was really angry, like, she was really pissed off. I was like...
Is she teacher from school?
No. But it's interesting, like, because I could tell, like, she had it planned in her mind, like, I'm 30, I have to be married, I have to have kids. And because that hadn't happened yet, she was unhappy, like, really unhappy about that. And I think if you make these plans in your mind and they don't happen, it's like, for example, with my ex-boyfriend, like, maybe I didn't make plans to marry him, but I made plans that we would be happy for a long time together, and that's why I decided to stay in New Zealand. So, but that didn't happen, and as soon as like your dream and the reality are not completely different, it's like really guttering, like sad. It's really horrible because you have the dream, like, this is what it's going to be like, and it feels so real, and the reality is so different, and you can't reach the dream. It's like, it's horrible.
It's about the feeling.
Yeah.